What's going on, guys? It is Drew here, or Kuso, with another video, and welcome back to the brand new studio. Hopefully you guys are enjoying this new background. I'm going to get some lights going here in a little bit, don't worry about that. But today, we're going to be taking a little deep dive into the world of my favorite video game franchise of all time, and that is Fallout. So sit back, relax, and let's look at the top 10 DLCs in Fallout. Alright, a little disclaimer, I want no hurt feelings by this list. This is all by my personal opinion and what I think these overall DLCs brought to the table through the world of Fallout, through weapons, apparel, storylines, all that good stuff. So if you are having a different opinion about something, please tell me down in the comment section below. I would love to hear what you guys have to say about this. And yeah, so without any further ado, let's get right into it. Alrighty, coming in at number 10, we have Operation Anchorage, Fallout 3. Now, in the Brotherhood of Steel in Fallout 3, they are the main driving antagonist, or protagonist, is a pre-war group of people that are trying to unseal the door of the VSS Armory so that they think that contains some kind of advanced combat gear and weapons that they want access to, of course. So the only way into said terminal to unlock the door is through surviving a military virtual reality simulation of Operation Anchorage, which is a war that happened in Anchorage, Alaska, between the U.S. and China. The simulation is completed over a computer interface device, kind of like the Pip-Boy 3000, and the player then gets put into that virtual reality and must complete this war. This DLC really was great for me for a number of reasons. It added a lot of great weapons, apparel, and it had a pretty great storyline. So overall, I think Operation Anchorage was a great DLC, and it definitely made the top 10 list. Alrighty, coming in at number 9, we have Mothership Zeta, Fallout 3. It's Fallout on a spaceship. What else do I have to say? With incredible weapons such as the Alien Blaster making its debut to the Fallout universe, which would carry on to the next 2 games. It also has great storyline that kind of twists and turns all about. You get to meet people and survivors of this abduction from different time periods, and you help them escape and beat this alien menace. It gives you a huge realm of real estate to travel about on this huge spaceship, and most importantly, I believe, it gives the great opportunity to provide literally another world of Fallout. Now we get Fallout in a futuristic setting of space, and you get to kill aliens, and it introduces a whole bunch of new enemies and all this great stuff, all this weaponry. You got the alien rifle, you got the alien blaster. What else is there not to love? Now, of course, in Mothership Zeta, the plotline, the player gets a distress signal over his Pip-Boy radio. You travel to it and you find a beacon. On the beacon, you can activate it and you will get abducted by this Mothership Zeta. Now, in there, you meet 4 survivors and a whole bunch more later. But they also were abducted. One, a little girl named Sally, who kind of overheads this whole operation because she's able to maneuver around the ship through the air ducts and such because she's so small. So overall, the player is able to return to the ship after the main storyline is completed. You can return whenever you'd like. You can go home. It's always going to be there, and it's used as a home base of sorts once the main quest is completed, although most of the ship becomes inaccessible after the storyline is completed. This DLC adds about 3 or 4 hours of playtime to Fallout 3, which is what we all look for in great DLC, and overall it makes it a great DLC pack in general. Moving on to number 8, we have Dead Money, making the new Vegas debut on the list. Now, the premise of Dead Money, that before the Sierra Madre could open, the bombs fell and the people inside of it during the grand opening got trapped. Well, a radioactive cloud developed over the Sierra Madre, and now only a group of survivors known as the Ghost People are able to survive and walk the streets in hazmat suits. Never talking to their victims, they drag whoever they find into the Sierra Madre, and they live deep inside the cloud, known as the radioactive cloud. One man who truly found it and lived, after the fall of Helios 1, Father Elijah of the Mojave Brotherhood of Steel set out to find the weapons of the eradicated NCR, and in the process discovered the Sierra Madre. In this DLC pack, you will go in and you will adventure through the Sierra Madre Casino in hopes to find these great weapons. This pack provides everything I've talked about already. Great weapons, great apparel, great storyline, great characters. It all comes together, but unfortunately, it still falls to number 8. Alright, number 7, making this game's debut on the list, Fallout 4, Automatron. Automatron, it's a very simple premise. In Fallout 3, you got the mechanist and the antagonist, and it was a really, really funny quest, and people loved it. So they decided, why not give the Mechanist her own main storyline quest? Well, not main storyline, but her main DLC, and the player is able to go around, collect different robot parts. You can build your own robot companion in the robot workshop, and all of these components come together to make a really great DLC. The storyline is a bit shorter, however, than I would have liked it to be, falling a little bit short of under 2 hours when I played it. You do get to find some great Enclave XO1 armor, which I believe is going to hint later on to the return of the Enclave into Fallout's universe. Something that really held it back for me was the playtime and kind of the arc of the story. It's like you meet the Mechanist, oh, she's bad, oh, she's good now. Now you're friends and you get her armor. It didn't have as great as a payout at the end as I would have liked, and that's why it's number 7 on the list. Alright, calling in at number 6, we have the Pitt from Fallout 3. In the ruins of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, the player is first informed on a new radio broadcast that a runaway slave from the Pit informs the lone wanderer that he needs help retrieving information from his slave owner back in the Pit, and the raider, kind of like the main, big raider leader, and he has the cure for the mutations of the people in the Pit, he says. Well, you travel to the Pit. You get to use a new weapon, the auto axe, which is basically just a weed whacker with an axe on the end, with a turning saw blade on the end. And really, this is just a great DLC. It's a huge area. You move into the area of Pittsburgh. You have the steel yard. You have downtown. You have the mill, which is like a dungeon area. You have this, this big steel making factory, because Pittsburgh is the steel city. And overall, it's just a really great DLC. Just because in order to succeed, you have to do all these quests. You can leave and come back whenever you'd like. It had one of the most difficult quests for me, and that was finding all 100 iron bars. I did that. I had to do that quest with no walkthrough, and that was maybe one of the most difficult things I've ever had to do in my entire life. If you don't know what I'm talking about, just go search up the 100 iron bars in Fallout, or steel ingots. But anyway, the Pit comes in at number 6. Alright, coming back in number 5, we have Lonesome Road from Fallout New Vegas. Lonesome Road brings the Courier's full story arc to a full circle when you're contacted by the original Courier 6, a man by the name of Ulysses, the frumentarius of Caesar, who refused to deliver the platinum chip at the beginning of the game in the main storyline of New Vegas. In this transformation, Ulysses promises to answer as to why the main storyline of Fallout began. Well, a job that led you into the depths of the Divide, a land that's torn by storms and constant tornadoes, though all this land is fabricated as a battleground between the Courier and Ulysses. Now, you look at the Lonesome Road DLC. This was the last DLC for Fallout New Vegas. A lot of people liked it. Some people didn't like it. I thought it was phenomenal. You had a lot of great weapons. You had a lot of great storyline. It brought this Courier, who we've been looking at for this entire game, it brought his story arc to a full circle, and people loved that because now we feel good about who we're playing with. You want to know why you took this job. So, Lonesome Road does a great job describing all that storyline, and I think that's why it makes number 5 on this list. Alright, number 4 is Point Lookout, Fallout 3. Point Lookout was one of my favorite DLCs in Fallout 3 out of the 4 that came out. Point Lookout is going to take place in the Fallout equivalent of Point Lookout State Park, which is the new swampland area with a whole swarm of new enemies. It's a landscape that is 1/6 and 1/5 the size of the Capital Wasteland, where the bombs didn't actually fall, but the world left it behind. This place is massive. Having the biggest map in all of Fallout 3's DLCs, it is surely a huge endeavor to conquer all the locations. Fallout 3 really advanced with Point Lookout through a lot of new enemies we saw. I believe we saw the Reaver make its first appearance. But yeah, like all these add-ons, except for Broken Steel, Point Lookout is playable at any time throughout the main storyline, and the player can travel there immediately after coming out of Vault 101. Now, unlike other add-ons, the player doesn't need to complete this main storyline of Point Lookout in order to get back to the Capital Wasteland. Provided they pay the ticket cost, the Duchess Gambit will travel back and forth anytime. Now, a little fun fact, the Duchess Gambit actually takes 30 days in-game time to travel to Point Lookout back to the Capital Wasteland. I thought that was a really cool fact. Point Lookout added a lot of really creepy aspects to it. It added a lot of cool storyline, being able to travel around this big island, having this, this underground area where you go and you fight. The whole brain idea, deranged doctor, good doctor, bad doctor, all this crazy stuff. You don't know who to help at first. It's a lot of conflicting storyline, which makes for a really great weaving of storytelling. Alrighty, moving on to number 3. One of my favorite DLCs, that's why it's number 3 on the list. From Fallout 3, we have Broken Steel. In this add-on pack, the Lone Wanderer joins with the ranks of the Brotherhood of Steel to rid the capital wasteland of the Enclave once and for all. In this edition, extending to the game, it lets players survive their adventures at the end of Fallout 3. But with the completion of the game and the addition of Broken Steel, the player can continue his journey, and the level cap is boosted from 20 to 30, adding new perks so the players can endeavor further into their quests for XP. And Broken Steel is one of those great storylines because you got to see a great ending to a great battle between Brotherhood of Steel and Enclave, and it was a really great conflicting story. Overall, I thought it brought a lot of really great storytelling to the table. The whole weapons apparel thing, it doesn't bring a lot of weapons to the table just because it's set after the game finishes. It's not in a new location like the Pitt, like Point Lookout. It's not in any other setting. You don't have to travel somewhere. It's already in the capital wasteland. Anyways, that's why Broken Steel is number 3 on our list. Let's move on. Alright, coming in at number 2, the newest and freshest DLC on this list, coming out only a week ago from the filming of this video, is Fallout 4's Far Harbor. Far Harbor has been an immensely, insanely enjoyable experience for me. I've been playing it non-stop. Now, of course, in this storyline, you are taken to a place called Far Harbor. You travel to Far Harbor looking for this girl, and you're actually taken to a place called Acadia, where you are met by a synth named Dima. Now, Dima has set up Acadia to be the salvation for the synths. Now, after you inform him that the Institute has fallen, he tells you that this needs to be a place for synths to come and be happy and live. This is before he drops the bombshell that he is actually the brother of Nick Valentine, your trusty detective sidekick that's been following you around since day one. You can take Nick Valentine to Far Harbor, and this is really where the DLC shines. You're able to get multiple storylines throughout this DLC. I haven't even finished all of the DLC, and it's already number 2 on this list. There's a lot of great storylines. You get to see the Children of Adam. You get to see the synths come back. You get to play as your own independent, or you can take the side of Far Harbor, trying to rid the whole harbor of this fog, which has caused mutations and ugly things to happen to all the creatures and people living there. Now, Far Harbor brings a slur of new enemies to the table, most from the underwater genre. It also introduces a whole bunch of new armor. You can go to the Vim factory and grab a new set of power armor, which is real nice. It's all decorated and whatnot. It's real pretty. And also adding a whole bunch of new weapons into the game, including the Harpooner. And, of course, a giant stick that has hooks on the end that you just hook things with. It's great. It's a fun time. You also get a great end to the first realm of Fallout 4 DLC. But also within there, you get a bunch of hints as to what could come in the future. When you meet Grand Zealot at the Children of Adam's nucleus, he mentions the Enclave, and that is a huge thing for a lot of people. Even though it's only mentioned in one sentence where he was like, I fought for the Enclave. It's still a huge deal for a lot of people because this could possibly be Return of the Enclave to the Fallout 4 universe. Alrighty, the moment you've been waiting for, drumroll please! The number 1 DLC for Fallout, in my opinion, Old World Blues, Fallout New Vegas. This DLC did so much for me just because of my incredible liking for terrible humor. This DLC included a lot more apparel and characters more than it did weaponry, only providing 1 or 2 new items to the story. Now, the storyline is great because from talking to characters such as Muggy, all the doctors in the think tank, and the toaster, the talking toaster. It's so much funny comedy because you don't have a brain anymore. After choosing what to do with Mobius and reacquiring your brain, the courier returns to the think tank and either convinces them to stop their endeavors of exploration and experimentation, or decides to kill all the doctors. Now, this was just a great DLC. It provided at least 4 to 5 hours for me, and the dialogue is worth going back and playing a second time. A little tiny robot named Muggy, and he's obsessed with mugs, and he constantly asks you if you have coffee mugs. And he's like, you have them right there in your pack. I can see it. It's taunting me. And it's just so funny. So anyways, that is why Old World Blues is number 1 on this list. But anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed this list of my top 10 Fallout 4 DLCs. This was a pretty lengthy video, so if you did enjoy, please do slap that like button with your forehead. And if you're new to the channel, go ahead and subscribe for daily content. Anyways, guys, that's my time. My name is Drew, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.